We need to, oh no, we need to store right here. You stand
Hello, this is a sister video to my last one that covered marble hornets, but I had to split them in two because the script got a bit too fat for my liking. If you want the full context for this and an explanation to what the hell I'm doing, I'd recommend giving that a watch first before checking this out. If you don't want it, then that's your fault, I guess. So now that the big dog is out of the way, cozy and resting on its laurels, then I guess it's time to get down in the mud with everything else. I've tried my best to categorize the series for this based on the ways that they're all connected and the levels of popularity they had upon their release. Keep in mind, these categories have no bearing on quality, they're just here so I don't go insane. We start off with the top dog, the series that started it all and isn't connected to any of them, Marble Hornets, which we have now covered. And after that, you get the big leagues, EveryManHybrid, Dark Harvest, and Tribe 12. Most people pair Marble Hornets, Everyman, and Tribe 12 together, calling them the big three, but I've gone with this instead as, despite being heavily inspirational to the other series, Marble Hornets has no actual story connection to the others, and these three are the most tied together, with numerous videos on each channel containing cameos from other series and overall containing the most ambitious crossover events. Then we get onto the Mini League. These are these series that, while they offer just as much artistic and entertainment value as the ones above it, either started too late or started in a way that resulted in lesser popularity, so shot off in a sort of community within a community, containing their own connections and crossovers. And then at the very end, we have The Forgotten, series that nobody talks about anywhere near enough. The connections to other series are the most tangential, but they have something going on that I feel worth mentioning. Okay, now that we're done talking about living security systems and all that extra shit, we can get back to everybody's favourite subject. Me! The thing about the big leagues is that every major series in it excelled in one specific area that Marble Hornets only touched on. And as for the first series we're going to be talking about, it excelled in the game aspect. The beginning of this series follows Vinny, Evan, and Jeff, who start EveryManHybrid as a fitness channel to show you how to be your best self in mental, physical, and spiritual health. Eventually, spooky happenings start, as they always do, but don't worry, those were just silly Slenderman pranks the guys were sneaking into their videos to mess with you. That is, until Slendy starts showing up unintentionally, and none of the guys are the one in the costume. Uh-oh. From there, the series goes full force into found footage horror, with multiple villains and creatures outside of the stick in the mud as he would eventually go on to be named, even prominently featuring The Rake, another Creepypasta Hall of Famer. From that simple starting off point, EMH becomes the most daunting, monolithic project out of the entire Slenderverse. My original plan was to go over the major plot beats and important moments of EMH in a very loose, glossing over kind of way while commenting on my favourite aspects like I did with Marble Hornets, but I quickly discovered that that's just not possible with this one. If you thought a Twitter account and 2 YouTube channels was too much, then just you fucking wait. This series has a YouTube channel with its own Twitter page, both accounts having multiple different posters, a Tumblr blog ran by someone who had seemingly no link to the show whatsoever that, in-universe, nobody from EMH knew about until the audience introduced them, other YouTube channels for side characters which would tie in with the main channel, another Twitter account run by one of the many antagonists which would consistently play games involving the audience making their own video content and shaping the events of the stories at large with real-life packages sent to and opened by the audience. There's Slenderman, The Rake, Original Creatures, an entire other Slender series we'll cover later is essentially hijacked by one of the EMH characters, making more crucial plot developments you would only know about if you were watching both series. Characters kicking a door open and having their clothes change in between shots can have world-bending lore implications. There's writings, hours of audio recordings which are not on the main channel and yet have massively important roles to play in the story. The name of the channel itself is a secret link to a play which explains the roles of each main character could take on, but even that is unreliable. It's a lot. EveryManHybrid is unfiction in its most unfiltered form, and that is both a blessing and a curse. It means that if you were along for the ride during its development, seeing all of these doors into the lives of fictional characters open and close rapidly, watching an entire community not only unleash Pandora's many boxes, but managing to solve their contents was an incredible journey from start to finish. But because of how utterly dedicated the creators of EMH were to making the characters and their world as true to life and audience engaging as humanly possible in the moment, without external sources, getting into EveryManHybrid in 2025 is like borderline impossible. If it wasn't for the tireless work of creators like Nightmind, who made an astonishing 11-hour series meticulously cataloging and explaining the show, trying to follow along and figure it all out raw is just an insane task for the average viewer. If I wasn't a no friend having loser who found this shit back in the day and you tried to show me it now, I would have turned it off by video 5. That isn't a flaw in the work per se, more so just a warning for anyone new who wants to jump in. Outside of the ARG stuff, there is still a lot to enjoy here. The actors playing the main trio all do a great job, with the standout being the actor for Evan, who, as the series goes on and he's possessed time and time again by Habit, an evil entity who's essentially become the de facto villain of the series, turns in a powerhouse of a performance as both the crooning dastardly bastard who would become so popular he's basically the Green Goblin of the Slenderverse, and as one of the most emotionally vulnerable characters whenever he's not possessed by the purple tape-loving grin machine. Seriously, this moment specifically, after a reveal that I won't spoil, is just genuinely great. It stops me in my tracks every time. One of the only places this series falters is, I'd say, the visuals. They're not bad or anything, there's some moments which are really effective, especially early on, but near the end, the show got a bit too comfortable being just raw, unedited camera footage for my tastes. I just talked about how great Evan's actor is as Habit, but when we get to the end game of the show, there's just so much of him monologuing straight into a shitty built-in DSLR mic in a tinny little room or in the woods, and I don't care how good a performance is, if you present it like that, it has the potential to come off as a bit cringeworthy at times.
Look, you could levy the exact same criticism against Marble Hornets, but to me, I don't know, it's entirely subjective. The vibe is just different going from old camcorder to DSLR from the 2010s. It's like comparing 4x3 It's Always Sunny to the 16:9 stuff. Like, it just hits different.
Fuck you.
That's it?
But I think that the ridiculously impressive game elements, the story at play here once it's understood, and the true dedication it took to really stick this out and give it an ending that, despite my gripes with its production, still manages to tie up loose ends and give the audience a satisfying ending, makes up for any limitations and is truly commendable. It's much more of a time sink than Marble Hornets, but if you have the free time and are willing to go to a few different sources to see the bigger picture, EveryManHybrid is an astounding achievement in unfiction storytelling, and there's a reason it's still somehow managed to hold on to a dedicated community even after having ended years ago. Unfortunately for us, this is going to be one of the last series that ends so neatly. Dark Harvest begins with our main protagonist Chris attempting to film what he believes to be paranormal events occurring in his home, and with help from his bestest buddy Alex, they soon discover that what they thought was just a measly ghost haunting is actually a home intruder, and they are not his only target. The goals of this home intruder are initially unknown, but through cryptic codes and messages, he slowly leads the duo on a trail to a secret cult known only as the Order, a group who worship and obey the whim of an Egyptian god known as that. What is the identity of this strange, unknowable It's Slenderman. Dark Harvest is incredibly endearing. The standards for the crew making it start out much lower than a lot of the other stuff. The effects are pokier. The series was littered with Marble Hornet symbols, which I'm pretty sure they were not given the go-ahead for, so they had to be retconned later on so people didn't think they were game jacking. We're shown Slendy in broad daylight way too many times, and there's a lot of content of just two guys dicking around in the snow. I mean, the home intruder named Kind von der Ritter is a guy in a bathrobe. But that all leads to what I think Dark Harvest excels at, the sense of camaraderie. Just watching these guys make this thing, setting up the domino pieces to later push down, all while they're clearly having a blast, is so much fun to watch. In the other series, when the shit hits the fan, outside of Habit shenanigans, all of the actors are trying their absolute best to put on a brave face and treat their situation as seriously as anyone in reality would. But here, even when confronted with Egyptian god cults and otherworldly entities, Chris and Alex still have moments to laugh with each other.
Did you notice that house still had its Christmas lights on?
No, I didn't, because I don't notice those things, Chris.
The acting isn't going to win any awards or anything, but something about how nonchalantly everything is delivered lends to this comfy feeling. The incredibly 2010s references also help with this.
And don't say you're trolling me, because you're not.
The little update videos from the guys, or the moments before all hell breaks loose when they're allowed to just act like mates at a sleepover, feels like the video equivalent of a safe room in Resident Evil. In Marble Hornets, all of the characters feel very disconnected from each other, and that's very much by intention. They're either just meeting for the first time, or haven't talked in years, in a scenario that breeds paranoia. So it's obvious that nobody on the show is going to be besties when everyone is basically trying to stalk and or kill each other. But watching Alex and Chris work together to solve their issues and bicker back and forth like an old married couple when things go wrong, it provides a dynamic that's not often explored in other shows because there's about 3 billion other things going on that need coverage. And when the aforementioned shit hits the aforementioned fan, it's so entertaining watching this scrappy group of no-money filmmakers pull together cult-centric set pieces while working within the confines of what they have. The whole thing feels more like a group effort than the previous teams, making the ongoing conflict truly feel bigger than the protagonists in a tangible way. Guerrilla filmmaking at its finest. And all of this, the awkward growing pains and the silly moments, make it even more rewarding when the series truly gets its wings later on with better production and a stronger sense of what it wants to be. Whilst it's not as reliant on external sources as EveryManHybrid, the series does still require combing through a couple different channels. Luckily though, the entire series, including entries on other channels, is chronologically organized in playlists on the Dark Harvest channel, which is a massive help because even though consuming Dark Harvest is a much easier task than the beast that is EMH, there's far less analysis out there on what the show is about and what goes on in it. It's not like there's a Nightmind series for this one, and that's a real shame because it has a lot to offer. When it picks up, it has just as much going on for it as any of the other big boys in the space. Alright, I guess I need to talk about this one now. Out of the big leagues, Tribe 12 is the series that really honed in on the video aspect. Where EMH made strides in alternative storytelling and audience interaction, and Dark Harvest focused on character and community, Tribe 12 nailed the visuals and production value. Although you wouldn't get that from the start of the series. The story follows Noah Maxwell, who opened the Tribe 12 channel as a class project for a video series about the 12 Trials of Israel before his cousin, Milo Asher, passes away, causing Noah to quickly rebrand the account as a memorial page for his late cousin. As before his passing, Noah had purchased a camcorder and unknowingly filmed their last meeting together. Upon realizing how strange Milo's behavior was in this footage, and of course discovering our favorite little guy stalking them, Noah begins investigating the true nature of his cousin's death. This is all covered in the first 6 submissions of the series, and it's very apparent just how much inspiration it took from Marble Hornets. The estranged friend who filmed weird footage, the white text on a black background, the first video even has similar ambience over it, even though in this context there's no car footage, so it makes no sense. Throughout the early videos there's also hidden operator symbols from Marble Hornets, which would have to be retconned later on, just like our best buddies Chris and Alex. After this though, maybe in an effort to truly distinguish itself, or just to shock the few viewers that the series had at the time, as Noah is opening strange parcels and decoding hidden messages, a strange figure starts reaching out. The channel is hijacked by said mysterious figure, and we're shown this. This is the Observer, one of the many proxies that make up a group known as the Collective, who will appear heavily throughout Tribe 12 to make Noah's life a living hell, with one entity even being a future Noah known as Firebrand. Yeah, the series gets into like time travel stuff. Future Noah is like a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing, but only when he needs to be. It's weird. But getting back to the point, this style of video is really what would set Tribe 12 apart. The first hijack is a rough form of what these videos would become, still containing the operator symbol, but the visual style and clear understanding of editing techniques immediately sets the series in a league of its own in terms of production value. Not even Marble Hornets managed to pull off stuff this heavily stylized. In To the Ark, you still get the sense that these videos were being made in-universe by a human being, as was the intention. But in these, it truly looks like something that a weird, ethereal demon would be able to conjure up as a horrifying vision. And it really acts as a streamlining of the typical ARG elements a series like this will have. If the villain wants to have a word, they're going to put it on the very same channel Noah's posting to. After this first hijacking, the series immediately picks up. We have all of our major players, and it kind of has a Marble Hornet Season 1 feeling, where every video has some important or at least entertaining moment. The plot goes in freaky and unexpected places, Noah gets a girl killed at one point, and after that we get 2 particular standout moments, the crossover episodes.
What is this?
There'd been hints at connections before this point, but these episodes, one where the guys from EMH go over theories with Noah, and the ones where he meets up with the Dark Harvest boys, were the first definitive time that the major series all properly collaborated, culminating in The Order, the episode where Noah assists with the Dark Harvest boys' investigation to seek out his own answers by infiltrating a meeting with the Order cult. And it's one of the best episodes. If you want a true visual comparison to just how above the others Tribe 12 was in visual fidelity, take how the Order is represented in Dark Harvest.
Hello, my brothers and sisters. I welcome you today to a ceremony we've all been taught, but most likely have never taken part in.
And then how it looks in Tribe 12. After this clear high point, the series continues, although at a slower pace. There's plenty of big moments. Particular standouts are the other EMH crossovers in Severance, which is an excuse just to have Habit to rant for 10 minutes, and Bridge to Nowhere, which, while having a ton of fun moments, has one piece of dialogue which would go on to become quite prophetic.
You've got to kill yourself. What?
The episode Milo's Tape, from a horror perspective, is the absolute peak of the channel, having some big lore mix-ups and Slendy moments which still kind of get me. Although, did we really need an extended sequence of Milo cutting themselves? Like, I know it's supposed to be uncomfortable, but did we really need to see that? Also, another strange tidbit is that outside of a brief snippet of footage, Milo is played in this video by Noah's actor and creator of the series, Adam Rosner, instead of the original actor from the first 6 submissions. There's a whole ancient drama about this, about Adam trying to get Milo's actor to return and not being able to, but it's unfortunately one of those dramas that's very poorly archived, and as a result, we only have the very bitter, passive-aggressive testimony from Adam for the events, and for reasons we'll get into later, that's something that isn't exactly trustworthy. Anyway, we then get to Fortunes, a video that represents a clear turning point. By this time in the series, Noah is a broken man. His future is ungodly bleak, he's under constant torment from all the forces surrounding him, and he's just done. Bitterly drinking alone and rambling to the camera, which has turned to his only source of memory, communication, and companionship. Now, while this serves as a new direction to take the character, it also works to fulfill something that every Slender series has to deal with at one point or another: when life gets in the way. Life will always find a way to delay or force a hiatus to a creative project. It's just how life is. You know, you got bills, you got kids, you got video games. Not every waking moment of adult life can be dedicated to your Slenderman web series. And something I always find interesting is how all of these series handle a temporary hiatus. As this is unfiction and the characters are supposed to be living, breathing, real people existing in real time, how do you explain months of inactivity in universe when you're too busy to regularly update the series? With Marble Hornets, it's a 7-month lapse in memory. For EveryManHybrid, they did numerous things, most notably having Vinny be locked in an apartment for like 2 years. And in Tribe 12's case, Noah just becomes BoJack Horseman. After this, the channel would go dormant, not returning properly for nearly an entire year, until the video Death Trap Exodus, a video which let us know that a lot of shit went down in that year, and that Noah's misery is far from over. Following this, Noah begins very slowly but surely combing through the footage of that year and starts uploading it to the channel. You see, the thing with the collective is that they all hang out at this spot called the Boardwalk, which in a, I'm sorry to say this out loud, backrooms kind of way, has a secret alternative hellscape version of itself which is considered their domain. And for an entire year, after managing to glitch his way in there, Noah was trapped, timeless, helpless, and losing his mind. Every single video following this for the remainder of the show is Noah running around trying to fight his way out of this maze in footage that's supposed to take place during the channel's year of inactivity, with videos that are longer than anything else the series has to offer, and when you first start them, they're great. The effects are incredible, they're dripping with creativity, and really feature some hair-raising moments. Seeing all this stuff get pulled off is crazy impressive. But then, as you keep watching, you start to notice a kind of shift in intention. Yeah, the visuals are top-notch, but what's really happening here? Except for a brief cameo from the Observer in one video, and of course Slendy, there is nobody else in any of these except for Noah, future Noah, and not as far in the future but still in the future Noah. It feels like everyone Adam had spent all this time collaborating with had just left him, causing him to have to play everyone. It kind of gets a bit sad at times just watching Adam try desperately to set up the pieces for future episodes by talking to himself for minutes on end. And Adam's performance has gone from a little cheesy but still believable to just silly. He's constantly doing this dumb, fake, gravelly voice and spitting out one-liners like he's fucking Duke Nukem.
Walking up these steps for 5 minutes.
And the other versions of him, while thankfully ditching the voice, are not much better. The show becomes more focused on giving Noah funny quips that can act as Tumblr fandom fodder instead of forwarding the plot in an interesting way.
You know what? On second thought, no thanks. I'm on a diet. Yeet! Brother, this guy stinks!
By video 5 of Boardwalk Shenanigans, it doesn't matter how many memes Noah can reference or how many epic collective moments there are, it just becomes exhausting to watch. And right as we were seemingly nearing the end of this overly long and drawn out arc, when other people could start appearing again, the whole house of cards would come crumbling down. In September 2020, several posts and callouts would be released from multiple victims attesting that while they were underage, Adam Rosner, the creator of Tribe 12, had attempted to groom them and had initiated sexual contact with them, and that in addition to this, Adam had sexually assaulted multiple people. On top of that, the accusations were flooded with other revelations like that of Adam's personal sexual proclivities. In general, exposing his creepy, unchecked behavior, which in one case was attempted to be exposed all the way back in 2016 before being pushed under the rug. After all this came out, Adam would make no overt public attempt to defend himself until a phone call between him and an unknown source would be uploaded online, in which he essentially gives the "I was in a dark place" excuse that so many social media influencers unfortunately do.
I was messed up back then.
That's not an excuse. Autism's not an excuse, it's not a crutch.
It's not an excuse, but it's a reason. And I didn't understand what was going on with my head and what I was doing.
Instead of releasing a proper statement, Adam would simply abandon all of his online accounts and go into hiding for a few years before returning incredibly under the radar in pursuit of his professional career as an optometrist, with no public acknowledgement of the people he hurt or any of the things he was accused of. To this day, Adam Rosner has never been convicted of or legally found to be guilty in a court of law for these supposed actions. As for the series, well, of course, after something like this, it couldn't continue. The channel was abandoned, the community shriveled up, and the Patreon Adam had been using to fund it was taken down. But right as all this was happening, now with no allegiance to its creator, a contributor of Adam's leaked a document that wrote out where the series was going and how it was supposed to end. It's pretty lame, but essentially goes on to try and explain that all the events of Noah's life and his destiny are all part of a carefully maintained loop in time, caused by a ripped off piece of the Slender Man's suit, and that this loop is so important because it contains Slender Man and the Collective. As long as nothing deviates from the loop's plans, Slendy's never actually a threat to anyone. Which, you know, kind of ruins everything, but alright. The ending of the series would have essentially been a Family Guy Back to the Pilot collage of Noah time traveling about to different videos to set up the loop's events, becoming super duper future firebrand Noah, receiving training from Habit, which I can only assume would have been through an epic found footage training montage, culminating in a fight between Noah and the Slender Man, which would have scaled several dimensions and times in space. Noah would defeat Slender Man and the Collective, although not outright killing or really stopping any of them, sever himself from the Collective, and that's it. So Noah would be free, even though at this stage his body has been dead for years, and the Collective and Slender Man are still perfectly fine to keep plotting about doing evil shit. Good ending. Ironically, the husk of a show that we are left with mimics that of Rosner's trajectory, with everyone abandoning him and the man being left in a tiny bubble of his own mistakes, with nobody but himself to blame. Don't watch Tribe 12. Do not give Adam Rosner a lick of support. Even if he hadn't done any of the things he's been accused of, it's still just a series that started off kind of promising and then nosedived into garbage. There is nothing to be gained by watching it. All you'll get is an overwhelming sense of disappointment and shame. Fuck Adam Rosner. Fuck the cowards like him who hide in online spaces only to enact their own depraved fantasies. And fuck this part of the video because I can't think of a single way to segue out of the hole I've put the script in.
Snack break! For today's snack break, I decided to go with the Eco Summer Vibes Chicken Swarmer Flatbread from one of my favourite corporate overlords, Aldi. It's said to be filled with shawarma-style chicken, cucumber and spinach, and who knew there was so much in cucumber? It's brand new and it's a source of protein, so hopefully that means it tastes nice. After removal from its plastic coffin and placing on a plate, we can go ahead and have a look at the insides. And wowee, does that look disgusting?
Deliciously good for your soul.
Alright, enough of just fighting words. Let's fight with our teeth and take a bite. Despite the insides being visually comparable to a cement burger from SpongeBob, that actually tasted pretty good. Although I do have a soft spot for the English tradition of curry flavour, so that may be showing off some bias. Overall, I give this shawarma a good rating. It's good.
So this segment's going to be a lot less in depth, as I don't have as much experience with these series, and if all of these had the same level of yappage, the video would be like 4 days long. So if you really love some of these and have been anxiously waiting for a proper deep dive, sorry. ML Anderson Zero, also known as the Anderson Journal, starts its run as a series of video diaries from Michael Anderson, creating them as a recommendation from his doctor, cataloguing his dreams and fears that someone or something may be stalking him. From there, branching out with the introduction of Michael's brother Sean and their friend Eric, their run-ins with the Slender Guy, and the deep-rooted family ties they all have with the tall figure. Right away, what makes this one unique is the commitment to making these characters, their actions and motivations seem real and dramatic. ML Anderson is far more of a slow burn than usual, and that's saying a lot because some of these are really slow, but what it chooses to do with that time is paint a vivid picture of the dynamics between someone who has struggled with a long life of mental illness, the effect that has on those around them, how that affects a supernatural story, and how people can bend the vulnerable to their will in certain situations. Of course, there's still the big moments of, it's scary tall guy, but out of all the series so far, Slendy is pushed so far to the background that you could remove like all the cosmic horror and you'd still be left with a solid story about denial and manipulation. Something this series offers is a story that, while not overly different on paper than its peers, shows it off with a perspective vastly different than them. In the big leagues, all of our main characters are either already aware of or are very quickly informed on the existence of the stick in the mud. But for the Andersons, because of their history, the denial and rejection of this world-shattering concept is a much larger focus in the beginning. Like I alluded to earlier, the series kind of gets hijacked by EMH at the end, leaving us with a very ambiguous and bleak ending which comes out of nowhere, but I really have a hard time getting mad at. Since its inception, the whole show was kind of about subverting expectations of what a Slender series is and should be, so having the ending do just that is oddly fitting, plus any video with habit is a good video. And you never know, this might not be the ending after all. A follow-up video was posted years later but has since been taken down and officially decanonized, so there does seem to be some desire to keep this one going. If that ever materializes, then it'd be great, but the latest video does still act as an ending if that never occurs. Overall, if you want to watch one of these things and have a main character that tugs at your heartstrings before receiving untold amounts of anguish and torture, then check this one out. It's significantly shorter than the beasts above it, but don't let that fool you. What's here is quality, no matter the quantity. This is Story. She's opened a YouTube channel to show you quick and easy ways to make your nails look beautiful with her adorable bird. Sure, she has a bit of a cough, and for some reason her camera just refuses to work properly, but we can ignore that. KeratinGarden follows Story along with her two friends Lila, Nikki, and a few others trying to figure out why Slenderman and the criminally underused Rake are hell-bent on ruining every attempt they have at filming nail tutorials. The plot goes into the direction of an evil corporation and their master plans to turn Slenderman into a marketable plushie! I mean, create medication, which is supposed to help those suffering from slender sickness and visions of the gangly freak, although with the end result potentially being the complete opposite. Weaving the usual web of never-ending horrors we're used to. But I'm sorry, this one just didn't really work for me. Maybe it's because I was checking this one out in full for the first time, or just because I've been watching so much Slenderverse stuff that I'm starting to become numb to it all, but for so much of this one, nothing happens. Like, we have video after video of the trio investigating, and like a quarter way through the series, nothing has been answered or discovered. By this point in Marble Hornets, there had been an entire season's worth of development. By this time in EMH, the viewers and characters alike had gone collectively insane. But in this one, outside of Slenderman being canonically a shower perv and the occasional discovery of some random MacGuffin, there's not much to chew on. The total visual appearances of Slendy and the Rake are under a minute in a series that totals just under 5 hours. The plot stuff does pick up at points, and the actor for Story and creator of the series does a really good job at appearing as a real person. You know, her performance is really believable, but there's only so much old webcam footage of you talking about stuff we don't have any context for you can expect me to sit through before I want to turn the channel off. ML Anderson could have the same point made against it, but I think that show manages to pace the balance of wow, I'm sat in front of the webcam and holy shit, it's the fucking Slenderman far better. There are highlights, specifically the mundanity I just complained about does make moments like when Story gets sent a bag of bloody nails more chilling than if it was just sandwiched between set pieces, and there's a really great moment with Story getting attacked by the rake that I still find effective and creepy even all this time later. But with all the stuff you have to sit through to get the full context for it, this is the first one I wouldn't necessarily recommend marathoning. Whisperedfaith follows a guy called Lee who's on a quest to document these strange occurrences that are happening late at night at his home. And just like KeratinGarden, this show features the Rake, who here takes on such a prominent role that it's not actually a Slenderman series at all. This one is all Rake all day, and it gives the videos a more unique pace, as instead of the supernatural force feeling like this imposing, unknowable monolith, it's far more animalistic and violent. You see them getting chased and clawed. It's way more focused on being visceral and brutal. What helps is just how great the Rake is in almost every appearance. This moment early on really sells how uncomfortable and disturbing this entire thing's existence is. The movements remind me of that one scene in the Poughkeepsie tapes. The series in general feels like a speedrun amalgamation of a lot of the ideas that began in its older counterpart, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The show has an energy and speed that's entirely its own, and seeing how these characters handle these similar concepts in very different ways makes it entertaining in its own right. Although in some videos the acting does tend to lean more towards school play vibes.
You killed that guy, and we got the carrier, and we have the book now. We did everything we were supposed to, right?
First of all, I respect you. Well, sometimes. Not enough, but sometimes. I am the only one who gets to roughhouse with him like that. I'm sorry, what? And you, on the other hand...
I fucking love this shit, man. And much like the big leagues, in Whisperedfaith we get a big crossover moment with Story from KeratinGarden, which is a really big highlight. The events that take place during this are covered on both channels from each character's perspective, and it's really cool to see these smaller series make strides in the same areas that already seemed impressive enough with much bigger, more influential channels. Solid is the word for this one. It kept true to itself and shared a story that, while not some brand new, fresh take on the world, is a fun watch that I recommend. If, like me, you were starting to get really sick of holy shit tall guy run away, then watching Whisperedfaith is like a cheesy, campy breath of fresh air. Although I don't know how fresh cheesy air can be. Okay, for these ones we're really going to power through because I don't really have much to say about them that I've not already said, but in the same breath, when am I ever going to get another chance to talk about I Can See the Giant? 502 is about 3 friends called Tyler, Gavin and Zach who start up the channel to make silly videos exploring Louisville, but when Zach goes missing and Slendy shows up, things get... spooky. It's all presented very intimately, having stuff like an in-universe band one of the members is in have performance videos up on the channel, and I find stuff like that really neat and immersive. It lends to the feeling that this was a personal YouTube channel that gained a new purpose when the guy's worlds were ruined by abnormal white man. Also, the proxy videos in this one are just fucking hilarious.
We need to make a new video. No one gives a fuck about these videos.
Eventually, Zach is found, and as the plot continues, there are a bunch of crossovers with another series, TGA Project, starring TJ and Amy, the ex-girlfriend of Zach, as the 2 besties document themselves scouting for locations for a Slenderman parody film they're working on before encountering the real deal, which I really enjoy as a meta concept. In this universe, most people who see all the footage online of this thing would probably think he's just as fictional as he is in real life, so utilizing that in universe is a really cool concept to play with. One of the 2 girls goes crazy, as someone in these always does, and then the series decides to do something that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. With this one and 502 to a far lesser extent, there was a tendency to blend the actors' real lives and the series, with what was going on in them shaping the way the story goes, and while that sounds cool on paper, the results are at times a bit questionable. For example, TJ's real-life, very young child is used as a character in the series, which I know this might just be me, but using your own baby in a series thousands of strangers will watch is just, I don't know, it just feels weird. But I also recognize that this is a far more pressing issue in today's age than it was in 2011. You know, people didn't have a rulebook for this stuff yet and had no way of knowing what could result from it. We were a long way off parasocial becoming a common phrase. Another source of confusion is within the collection of deleted videos from the channel. Yeah, a good chunk of the show, some of which was plot important, was just deleted for reasons I couldn't decipher because of how long ago it was and how few people gave a shit. You can still find them about on the web like I did, and they're mostly harmless. One of them contains a lot of clearly fake gore, but I could see that offending or maybe freaking people out in 2011. One video, however, is an actual video of the two main characters being attacked by a dog, and the dog being shot to death. It's not like a planned, scripted thing achieved with special effects. This just happened to TJ and Amy, and they incorporated it.
I was vicious, bit 2 people today. Might have been a casualty. Had to be shot, and it has since now suffered at least 2 shots, point blank to the face.
From what I could find, they got a lot of shit for this, causing them to take down the video, but just why? Why on earth would you put a real dog getting shot to death in your Slender Man web show? Also, Evan from EMH has a cameo. I didn't know where else to mention that. Caught Not Sleeping is probably my favourite of the more obscure Slender series, and I wish more people talked about it. It's got such a faster start than a lot of these other ones. Right away, our protagonist, aptly named Caught, makes the purpose of the channel clear. He's unable to sleep and is reaching out to viewers for help. After the viewers suggested it could be the Slender Man, he responds in a way that immediately cements his character.
I apparently am a Slender Man or something. I don't think I'm having problems because a more physically active version of Bigfoot is haunting me.
Seriously, right from the start, right to the end, Caught is a pure sarcasm machine, and it's great. And then, by video 3, boom, bap, shit's on a roll. The perfect way to start when you're playing with ideas already done to death is just to jump in head first. While the start of the series is your typical guy in a suit with a morph mask affair, it quickly starts getting really surprisingly ambitious with its visuals. There is so much effort in this one. The editing is punchy and the practical stuff is great. They had to bury a coffin for this. One of my favorite moments is from the video called That. It has the proxy version of Caught fighting another main character called Natalie, and just, oh, fuck, that's very rough. Oh no, Caught stepped on the child-killing mattress. And then, out of nowhere, the series hits you with full-blown CGI. And that's how they handle Slenderman and the other supernatural stuff for the rest of the show. Now, does this look realistic? God no, but it's just so fucking charming and different. The series in general just has a completely unique vibe, from the proxy videos to the main entries. The whole thing has a cinematic flair to it. I mean, it has a soundtrack, not like EveryManHybrid diegetic music that characters put in. There's just a soundtrack like it's a movie. That's so weird.
I think my favorite episode is Rule 7, where the series just turns into a Christopher Nolan short film about the spreading of the disease that is Slenderman, and it's got all these random people just getting killed off, and they look like fucking supervillains. It's so good. It has it all. It has the Hans Zimmer bois.
It's a very, very different take on the, at this point, well-established formula. I really wish more people would check this one out, if not for the fun of what's contained within it, then just to complete the Slender series time capsule.
Here, see that guy? Yeah? That's a crisp 20. That's for you, Slendy boy.
Hang on a second. What? I'm looking at my notes and there's a series here that I don't remember putting down. Oh man, this sucks. A journal with plot importance and a logo on it, a mysterious secret box, and a red-themed hellscape with reverse mute. Oh, I wonder where you got this idea from. Slenderman's just a fucking JPEG motion tracked on the screen. What lazy, pathetic hack made this shit? Oh yeah, it was me, I did that. What you're currently seeing is all that remains of my own terrible Slenderman ARG. It wasn't my first one, but it's the only one that I still have anything archived of. It's really bad. I had no plot in mind, I was just making it up as I went along because I liked making proxy effects in Adobe Premiere. I managed to find my only attempt at promoting the series in the Unfiction forums, in which I immediately got told off by the admins because I posted about it in character, which you're not supposed to do. I then apologized for making a shit series and publicly posted my old Skype username. I was like 14, okay? I'm gonna move on now before I shrivel up into a raisin of shame and die. I can see the giant. I can't tell if it's brilliant, if it's nonsense, or if it's both at the same time. The basic gist of the channel seems to be that it's like if a proxy ran the main account for a Slender series. From what I can gather, the operator of the channel has roped several people into uploading videos to it, making them participate in some kind of game. I don't know if the end goal of the game is to help the Slender Man or impede him, or if it's just for fun. The seeming ringleader for all of it is a guy in a black morph suit called the Teacher, who just loves to do little dances. There's cartoon clips, Slendy shenanigans in which he's really short, but I just can't follow any of it. It really does feel like this as if To The Ark was the only channel for Marble Hornets and Maskey was addicted to Adderall. I think this might be like an EMH situation on steroids, where a lot of what is going on is heavily based on audience interaction and external sources. The series itself feels almost reactionary. If you were in the community at the time it was operational and was paying attention to all the channels surrounding it, this was probably a great series and a really engaging piece of community-driven storytelling. You can find playlists littered with dozens of channels participating with and engaging with it, but there's no big analysis video that lays it all out and explains everything, and I do not have the time to be the person who makes that. So for now, it'll just have to remain a very confusing but very endearing little puzzle. Also, when I was rewatching this one, I did it with a massive head cold and it freaked me the fuck out, so, you know, the horror still works. The main reason I'm talking about this one, other than for completionism's sake and to show the greatest visuals to ever grace a web series, is because of one major crossover where the channel has an upload from a character called Stan Frederick, who coincidentally had his own series, aptly named
Hello everybody on YouTube. Name is
Stan Frederick Behind the Scenes began its run in 2012 and is your typical trope-filled small-scale Slender series affair. 16-year-old Stan Frederick is trying to work on behind-the-scenes footage for an upcoming film he's hoping to produce. And of course, as always, it all goes horribly wrong. Stan is stalked not only by Slendy, but later on by The Rake, a hilariously designed proxy called We Must Collect who uploads their very own distorted, puzzle-filled videos featuring artwork that you just want to pin up on the fridge, and later on by this blue-coded guy called Eidolon, whose design I really have a soft spot for. As the plot continues and Stan's super-duper dark secret past is revealed in a moment that, I won't lie, is actually pretty good, the series slowly becomes more and more gratuitously edgy, doing its absolute best to convince you just how damaged and scarred the main character is in a way only a 16-year-old writer could do. I really enjoy coming back to this one mostly for nostalgia's sake. It was a series I watched quite heavily back in the day, as it's far more straightforward than some of the other stuff I've talked about tonight. Stan makes a video, We Must Collect responds, chaos ensues, and things only get worse. I fully get anybody watching it now seeing it in a bad light, but I think the one thing it really has going for it that even the most cynical of viewer will pick up on is the clear passion for the community and the genre, yes I'm calling it a genre, creator Valeria Santiago had while making it. This doesn't always manifest in the best ways, straight up name dropping other series is never a great look, but the pure love on display for the Slenderverse really makes the project endearing. If you asked me to make anything close to this quality at 16, I'd probably cry in a corner and throw up everywhere before asking if I can go back to playing Minecraft. You can see plain as day just how clearly obsessed with the community Valeria was, from the niche as fuck crossovers to the ticking of every single box for cliches to the editing and the camera work. The series is trying as hard as it possibly can, and that's really fun to see in an old project like this. She definitely did her homework, and as much as it's held back simply by being such an ambitious project being tackled by such a young mind, it is still, at least to me, surprisingly fun to watch. But the coolest thing about the series by far, the thing that skyrockets it way up there in my opinion, even landing itself up there with the big leagues, isn't even the original series, because Stan came back.
Hi. My name is...
Yeah, that's right. Stan Frederick got a soft reboot. In 2016, after being dormant with its original videos privatized for years, the channel came back out of nowhere with new videos. And right off the bat, it's one of the most promising ideas in the entire verse. So the gist is that after everything he's endured, Stan has become what he lovingly calls a signal disruptor, someone who, while still affected by the Slender Man, can't be majorly harmed by him. You know, he can't become a proxy or have his brains outright melted. And using this ability, Stan has essentially become a paranormal investigator slash therapist for other Slenderverse creators and people dealing with paranormal shit, helping them free themselves from the many nightmares these poor souls are often trapped in. Yet Stan Frederick 2016 is basically basically a meta victory lap for the Slenderverse as a whole, and an in-universe contextualization for so many of the tropes we have come to love from it. As the first season goes on, we see Stan travel around trying as hard as he can to help those who are currently under siege by the tall guy, and it's fantastic. The writing and execution is punchy, it knows what the viewer is here for and gets straight to it. By video 2, we have the full concept shown to us and a direction for the story to go in, no meandering. And Stan's characterization is great too. It takes the over edge and constant never-ending tragedy from the original series and shows it in a much more mature, seasoned light. It doesn't throw the ideas away, just reuses them in a manner that is far more effective, and it does it with pretty much every major idea in the original series. The classic proxy crap starts going on as it always does, we even get the return of everyone's favourite fedora-tipping Benadryl Shadow Man, but the way Stan handles it and how it's shown off are so much more interesting this time around. You know, how would what is essentially a decorated Slender veteran react to the same shit coming around to them again? How would they help people dealing with these scenarios for the very first time avoid the pitfalls that they themselves fell into years ago? It's such a good take on the formula that I'm amazed nobody did it sooner. Going back to the contextualization thing, it manages to ask and answer some big questions that plague this kind of content in really entertaining and interesting ways. It gives an in-universe canon for game jackers, why different monsters pick different people, why the guy in the suit might act or look different depending on who he's tormenting. One of my favourite episodes in season 2 is one which is just a glorified cameo fest as Stan travels and interviews like a dozen protagonists from older series, even featuring channels whose original shows don't even exist anymore. Talk about deep cuts. Oh man, I sure hope Slenderman's not behind that door. Oh god, that's even worse! One of the biggest pet peeves a lot of people have with found footage as a whole is the one question that plagues everything under its umbrella, a perpetual annoyance to viewers and creators alike. Why are they still filming? It's something most works in the genre either handwave away or just flat out ignore, but Stan Frederick addresses it. In a few episodes it's mentioned that the reason a lot of these channels stopped or deleted their content is because when they ceased filming, the guy in the suit went away. From there, it makes you question if that's why all these people, all these channels feel so compelled to film everything in the first place. When we get to the actual boiled down concept of the Slender Man so commonly used in these as a form of virus, a sickness hell-bent on spreading, then the idea of it compelling others to film it, to spread awareness of its existence so it can then make its way further and further across the zeitgeist is one of my favourite ideas presented in these shows. It dates all the way back to Marble Hornets, and the fact that Stan Frederick managed to add a new angle to this, that one of the ways to stop it is simply to forget the fear it provides, is some Town of Derry Pennywise level shit, and I'd love it so much. Valeria Santiago made channels dying from burnout a fucking plot point. That's amazing! Overall, I don't want to give too much away, as this one is definitely worth your time, and the series goes in so many cool and unexpected places that I wouldn't have a hope of talking about it all unless I did like a full dedicated deep dive.
I will spoil one thing though. In season 3, we see the return of everybody's favourite little dancer.
But the record of Stan Frederick was a lovingly pieced together, passionate swan song for the Slenderverse. It spent its time meticulously covering everything we loved about these shows from our childhoods and showcased them in a new, modern way. Truly, if there was an ending to the Slenderverse, then Stan's record is one I could not find a better candidate for. And for a while, it did seem like this was the last bastion, the final breath from a dying genre, due to many factors like waning relevance, that terrible movie, no, the other one. Mixed with all the other controversies throughout the years, it was safe for many to say that the Slenderverse was over. It had its run, got bigger than anyone ever thought it had any right to, and went out with a strong note. Well, for a little while at least. Here's the thing. The Slenderverse is kind of back. In 2023, Valeria Santiago and fellow unfiction creator Kay, known primarily as the creator of the series Hi, I'm Mary Mary, founded a charity event known as SLENDER for Gender, a recurring fundraising stream focused on raising money for Trans Lifeline with help from the larger Slenderverse community. The event has been enormously successful in gathering many of the community's most prominent figures and providing a space and refuge for the trans community, raising thousands upon thousands of dollars and giving many online creators the opportunity to help a cause that needs it more than ever in our current climate. At points, the streams reach Smash Ultimate levels of everyone is here, thanks to the dedication of so many creators in this space. It's honestly kind of hard to talk about at length without starting to break a little bit, because this means so much to me, and from the reception it's received, it means just as much to so many others. What they've managed to pull off is something of a reinvigoration of the Slenderverse itself, a revival of a community that many cast off as dead for years. I just realized I might have been saying your name wrong this entire video. I'm so sorry. Valeria and Kay have become, in a way, the modern day face for this new, far more welcoming era of the Slenderverse. I'll have the social medias and the website for the event linked below, so please do check them out. They're putting in the work to show that this community is a force for good and capable of wonderful things. After the event picked up steam and after reaching certain donation goals, Dark Harvest and Whispered Faith, two of the most beloved series in the community, began uploading again after years of inactivity. ML Anderson, after its previous attempt to return years ago, has been making regular YouTube community posts, and the creator of the series has shown off teasers for its full video return. Valeria Santiago has also recently started an entirely new series called Red Red Hat, which is in her usual manner an incredibly unique and introspective take on the genre. The first video starts out as a montage of the main character, Carmen, just smoking in a few different spots, and then, oh hey, there's somebody else here. Holy shit, that's Tim! After all of this time, in the year of our guy in the suit 2025? Holy shit! The rest of the show is also a delight, but I'm going to save it for now and return to it when I have the urge to talk about it again in like, I don't know, 14 years. Oh, and speaking of Tim, after all the dust settled on all the drama and nonsense with the former That crew, in June 2024, a Kickstarter was launched for a book about the making of Marble Hornets from Troy Wagner and Joseph Delange. This alone was an incredibly exciting announcement, not only because it meant more Marble Hornets, but to know that these guys were working together again. But the even juicier detail is that one of the stretch goals for the Kickstarter was for Troy, Joseph, and maybe Tim, I'm not quite sure on his level of involvement, to work together on a new Marble Hornets miniseries. And thankfully for all of us, that stretch goal was reached. After nearly a decade, time was able to heal the wounds of a fractured friendship, and now, maybe, just maybe, all these shows we loved back then can come back to tie themselves together in a neat little ending bow. And funnily enough, after I posted part 1 of this retrospective, I shit you not, the first teaser for the Marble Hornets miniseries was uploaded 2 hours later. That is some cosmic shit. The Slenderverse was lightning in a bottle. Nothing has ever or ever will be quite like it again. The odds of so many creators not only being able to make competent, compelling, story-driven content with this level of collaboration is something so mind-bending, I still don't really know how it happened in the first place. These series were a fundamental stepping stone for me in my own creative pursuits and interests. They shaped my taste for horror and inspired me time and time again, showing just how much is possible if you're willing to get up off your ass, grab a camera, and go make your story. It doesn't have to start perfectly or even well. You can stumble out the door to the point of face planting, but if you have the love for the format that all these other creators did, you'll find your way no matter how long it takes. These series are the epitome of seeing an artist grow and learn to express themselves live right in front of you, and in a way, I think that can be a really beautiful thing to see take shape. Even at its worst, most unapproachable points, these channels and the content on them is always genuine, always true to itself and unflinching. And I will always take that over something backed with more money but holding no soul. If you want to watch something that really celebrates the creators of this space and delves even deeper than I try to tonight, there's countless pieces by those far more competent than me and with far more to say, and you should check them out. There's so much I haven't covered during this. I never watched Tulpa Effect. Fuck! The rabbit hole for this Stick in the Mud's found footage escapades is genuinely never ending, so go have a little Easter egg hunt of your own. Who knows how many Caught Not Sleepings and Stan Fredericks are out there waiting for someone to find them. This community has grown and changed alongside me. As we have now found ourselves amongst the noise and made it through to the other end, I only realize now just how much I owe to these people, these shoddy camcorders and the space they have created. So as a final note, I want to say thank you. Thank you to the people like Valeria, Chris, Lee, and so many others who have unknowingly made me feel like I was a part of a family, even if I only ever parasocially lurked in the kitchen at 3 a.m. eating cheddar out of the fridge instead of joining the family for dinner. I can't wait to see what you create next. Oh, one last thing. I was watching We're All Going to the World's Fair with my boyfriend while working on this. It's a really good movie. Go watch it. And I got fucking jump scared by Valerius Santiago. Like, how did you do that? Get out of my head!